Hello and welcome to another episode of The Highlight Reel. My name is Nick Lynch.
And I'm Ben Heltzer.
And today we will be covering Week 13 of the NFL season, including Thanksgiving Day review, the first two punched playoff tickets, our top 5 power rankings, and our picks for Game of the Week. So to start off today, we're going to talk about the Thanksgiving games real quick. The Chicago Bears, they blow the game with a terrible time management by Matt Eberflus, which got him fired a day later. That was almost unrealistic.
Yeah, I know. And I hate to say this, but I kind of saw this coming. I didn't see the Bears keeping it competitive, but I knew they were going to end up losing in the most Bears fashion, and they proved me right. But, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. It's just a bad win.
And Matt Eberflus fired into his third year at head coach for the Bears, and I want to see who the next Chicago Bears head coach is going to be. So then the other game, the Dallas Cowboys defeat the New York Giants 27-20. The Giants, since I'm a Giants fan, I think they kept it more competitive than it should have been. But still, it's two bad teams on Thanksgiving, and the Cowboys were just a better team.
Yeah, another expected outcome. The Giants did make it somewhat interesting at the end there, but Dallas had that from beginning to end. Not much special going on in that game.
Yeah, even though the Cowboys are 5-7, I still don't think that's enough for them.
Oh no, they're not going anywhere.
No,
they're not going.
They're not. And then the Miami Dolphins lose in the cold again at Lambeau Field, as the Packers roll to 9-3. But the Dolphins, they need to learn how to play in the cold, because coming up in January, if Miami even make the playoffs, you have to learn how to play in cold places like Buffalo or Kansas City again or Pittsburgh, but you just got to get over that problem.
Yeah, 100%. They won't make the playoffs anyway, but I 100% agree with you. In order to be considered a great team, they need to be adaptable and learn how to play in any weather conditions, and they just have not done that. So another expected outcome.
Yeah. So anyway, the clinched teams, the two teams who have made the playoffs so far, the Kansas City Chiefs with that win against the Raiders, they punched their ticket to the playoffs. That was the Raiders at the end of the game. That was awful. What happened?
Yeah, and it just feeds into the Chiefs like black magic rumors. The stupid wins that they get. They could easily be they're 11-1 right now. They could easily be 6-6, 5-7,
yeah.
But they're not, and they're in the playoffs, and they're probably going to win the Super Bowl again. But I do think that there are some challengers that could potentially maybe stop them, like the Buffalo Bills, who just clinched the AFC East for the 5th season in a row. They're the first team in the league to clinch their division. I think that it was a great win against San Francisco on Sunday night. Josh Allen playing MVP-like football, as per usual. And, this season's gone amazing for Buffalo.
Yeah, even though Christian McCaffrey was a huge loss for the 49ers in that game, just coming back from injury too, and now he's injured again and probably out the rest of the year. But, yeah, a good win for Buffalo. See how they play the rest of the regular season out. I think they're going to hold on to the 1 seed
they don't even have it right now, but you think they're going to get it?
I think they do. Both teams are.
Chiefs are 11-1. Bills are 10-2. But, they could get it. It's going to be between those two teams to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I don't see Pittsburgh or Baltimore making any noise.
No.
But, that's it for now.
So our top 5 power rankings for the week. The Pittsburgh Steelers we have at number 5 with that big win at Cincinnati. The Kansas City Chiefs fall to number 4, even though they won. But, it's 3 points against the Raiders, who are last probably in the whole league at 2-10. The Eagles are number 3. Saquon Barkley just doing big things over there in Philadelphia. But, we miss him. But, It's good to see him go win somewhere else. The Buffalo Bills, number 2. I think they could do it. I think they can get that 1 seed in the AFC and top the Chiefs. And then the Detroit Lions at number 1, who have a chance. If they win, they're in this week. And, the Lions, I think, are the best team in the league right now.
Yeah, 100%. And you could make a case, really, for any of those top 3 teams to be number 1, especially the Eagles at that 3 slot. I just don't think that their resume is as impressive as the Bills or the Lions. And they've hit success, recently, but they haven't really been that consistent throughout, especially in the beginning of the season, which is why they're at 3. But again, any of those 3 teams could easily be number 1 right now, and I think that we're in a good spot as far as the top 5 goes.
Yeah, I agree. So now we're going to move on to Game of the Week. So, Ben, what's your pick for Game of the Week?
My pick was that Bucks-Panthers game, divisional game. The Bucks needed a win desperately. They ended up getting it by the skin of their teeth, went into overtime, I believe. And Baker Mayfield, he's back. He's playing amazing. I believe they got Mike Evans back, which is a great piece for them. And Atlanta's not looking very good right now, so that division is still wide open. And I think Tampa is looking great.
Yeah. But my pick, I'm going to go with, surprisingly, the Colts and the Patriots. It's 2 teams who are way out of playoff contention. But it's always those games that are the best. I mean, 5 lead changes throughout the entire game. But New England, they keep fighting, but Indianapolis just got the
very unexpected game of the week. But that was a very good game.
They tried a 68-yarder though and almost got it. Missed it by a yard. Well, that's it for us on the NFL. But up next is Smitty and Jake to talk about college football.
Hello and welcome back to college football on the highlight reel. We had a huge week of intense rivalries, tons of fights, must-see games. Let's talk about it and get right into it.
We're going to cover a lot of games really quickly. There was a ton of action from this week. Let's get right into it. Crazy Friday night matchup between Georgia and Georgia Tech. Jake, what do you think of this game?
Yeah, I mean, what a game that was. Georgia went down 27-13 in the fourth quarter, and then Carson Beck basically has a legacy fourth quarter, 2 touchdowns in 5 minutes. It was really a legacy 5 minutes. He just went off in those final 5 minutes to get them back into the game.
Building right off of that, what a crazy overtime. 8 overtimes.
Yeah, 8 overtimes.
That's insane. Just a back and forth touchdowns in the first and second overtimes. And then finally Nate Frazier wins it to get the 2-point conversion, because I forgot about that rule.
After it gets to a certain amount.
After, it gets to a certain amount, they have to just start going for the 2-point. And then finally Nate Frazier did, and Georgia completes the comeback and wins it.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people were like, oh, it's Georgia Tech. How are you going to go that far? Georgia Tech is still a solid team. It's a rivalry game.
Yep.
So, honestly, just a great game to watch. And what was it, 44 or 42?
44-42.
Yeah, great game. And I think that basically solidified Georgia's playoff spot. They have the SEC championship versus Texas. But even if they lose, I don't think it'll punish them that much.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Saturday. Let's talk about the games.
Yeah, I mean, going to Ohio State and Michigan, I think it's safe to say that Michigan's ownership of Ohio State is just continuing.
4 years in a row. Ryan Day has nothing on them.
Yeah, Michigan goes into the shoe and takes over. Defense looks great, to be honest. I mean, the offense has obviously been very shaky the whole year. Really couldn't get anything going. QB situation is rough, but I have to say their defense still looks almost as good as last year. They have an elite defense. So,
Ohio State's just in general, not even they just got shut down in the second half.
Yeah, no points.
Michigan definitely has one of the best defenses in college football, and going off topic, they have so many recruits coming in on offense and defense, and they're having the best recruit or best QB recruit coming in, and this just shows that Michigan's going to be a top contender in the next coming years.
Yeah, I mean, they're 7-5 this year, in a year where they lost tons of NFL prospects from their championship team, and they still managed to beat Ohio State 7-5. They'll get a bowl game. So I think I would say that's pretty good. And then next year, like you said, They have the number 1 quarterback prospect.
Yep. Bryce Underwood.
A lot of good players coming in. So really, I think Michigan is going to be back like they were, a top team, because
Definitely a national championship contender.
defense looks great. They're obviously going to lose some players, but defense still looks great. And really what they're missing is just some offense and a good quarterback. So I think they're going to be pretty good next year.
Yeah, and then moving on to the end of the game, just a huge scuffle at the end of the game with Michigan planting their flag in the center of their field. Like, I give it respect to Michigan. Like, they won the game and they did, beat one of the top-ranked teams in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think that's just stupid of Ohio State to even, start a fight after that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you could say it's wrong for both teams. You could say it's classless for Michigan to plant the flag, and then also sore losers of Ohio State to try and start a fight and act the way they did.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it's a rivalry game. I don't think any of that should be getting slandered. I think that's good to watch. That was pretty entertaining.
It was very entertaining.
I mean, that's what the college football fans like to see. So
Yep.
yeah. All right, let's move on now to another great 12 o'clock rivalry game that we saw. South Carolina, they played at Clemson, and South Carolina pulled it out at the end, 17-14.
Yep. Lenore Sellers, their QB, came up clutch with a huge one for South Carolina. He had 164 passing yards, 166 rushing yards, and 2 rushing TDs. Just a huge game for Lenore Sellers.
Yeah, huge game for him. It's been cool to see him develop throughout the year. Showed some flashes early in the year, and I think he's showing that in the next year or two, he can really be a big quarterback in college football.
Yeah, I agree.
And the fact he already is a really good player, one of the best. And let's just talk about their playoff situation. I think they're now out, South Carolina. 3 losses, it is tough, but they were ranked at 14 in the new college football playoff rankings.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't agree with that. I think right now they're a better team than Alabama. There's always a little bit of bias to Bama in the rankings, I feel like.
They're also one because of Nick Saban, that's one.
And Bama did beat them earlier in the year.
Yes, but also there is a reason why Bama probably has ahead of because Bama has a lot more national championships than them. They have more experience than them.
Just the history behind their program.
And then just the history behind the program, exactly. So South Carolina did have a great year. I do feel like they should be in it, but also at the same time they shouldn't.
There's a lot of things you could say. They got gypped versus LSU, barely lost versus Bama. Just if one thing went right, they probably could have went in. But
I agree.
A lot of tough teams around that edge of the playoff spot. So, and then not Clemson's playoff situation. I think that SMU is going to beat them.
I agree. I don't think they stand a chance against SMU.
I mean, they probably stand a chance, but
I mean,
if
SMU's
looks great right now.
Their defense looks really good. So, if Clemson plays their game like how they've done the whole year, I think they could have a shot. But I think SMU's offense is also just powerful, and I think they're going to be able to win it.
And then if they win, I'm a little confused on how it would work. I think it would be Clemson would make the playoff because they win the ACC, but then would SMU also make it because they'll be 10-2.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to see, but I do think SMU is taking it.
Moving on to our next game is Miami versus Syracuse. The Orange pulled it off 42-38, upset at home. Jake, what are your thoughts on this one?
Another rough loss for Miami. The offense plays great. Cam Ward, 349 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, especially starting off 21-0. Another great game for Restrepo. I think he's going to be a great prospect. 9 receptions, 148 yards. But really just another one of those games where we see that Miami's defense just couldn't hold up. 42 points allowed. So really that's been sort of the story all year. There's been a ton of games even where they've won where they almost lost because, Cam Ward's just willing them back into the game with 45 points. But on the other hand, Kyle McCord, 380 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, a great bounce back year for him, especially after all the hate that he was getting in Ohio State. I think that just goes to prove that he really wasn't the problem in Ohio State, and it could be something a little deeper than that.
Yeah, I agree. And then Syracuse pretty much ruins Miami's playoff chances for after Miami started the game 21-0. So, and like that put Clemson in the ACC championship to play SMU, like how we just said. So
that's kind of
congrats to Syracuse for beating a top 10 team in the country to push them back like 10 spots in the rankings. So
yeah, decent year for Syracuse too. They
Yeah.
were, what, 9-3, I think.
Yep. Kyle McCord definitely carried this team a
Even
lot.
through some bumps.
Yeah, even
played great.
Exactly. So just a great year for Syracuse and great year for Cam Ward.
Yeah, and speaking about championships, before we end this week's episode, let's just talk about the conference championships this week and how they will affect what the playoff looks like. So Friday night, we have 2 conference championships, but let's just talk about the one that matters. In the Mountain West, we have number 10 Boise State versus number 20 UNLV.
I think Boise State will definitely win.
Agreed, yeah.
And then I think Ashton Genty is probably going to have a beautiful game like how he has all year. So, and then moving to Saturday, we have the Big 12 championship game, number 15 Arizona versus number 16 Iowa State.
Arizona State? Yeah. I think Arizona State's going to take that one.
I think Arizona State will win. It's going to be a great game, 15 versus 16.
I think Arizona State's a little better than them.
Yeah,
They look
I don't
great
think
all year.
Arizona State should be ranked number 15th.
Like a little higher or lower?
A little higher.
Yeah, me too. They've been sort of under the radar the whole year until the end where, they had a good amount of wins and only 2 losses.
Yep.
But yeah, I think Arizona State takes that one
I agree.
and moves on to the playoffs. And then in the SEC, number 2 Texas versus number 5 Georgia. Really highly anticipated, especially because they played earlier in the season.
I think this is going to be a whole different game for Texas.
I think it's going to be close because I think Texas will come back and win this one.
Yep.
It's hard to beat a team twice. But I also think Georgia looks
even
good
if
now.
say one of the teams loses, they're still probably going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, if one of the
anyways.
teams loses, they'll probably both be fine.
Yep, and then moving into the Big Ten championship game, number 1 Oregon plays number 3 Penn State. I think Penn State's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I have Oregon in this one. I could definitely see Penn State winning. I think Drew Aller could do something for them.
I think Franklin's going to put something in their heads and it's just going to dial them in and just be able to beat number 1 Oregon. I think it's going to be a beautiful game for them.
I think Oregon's going to win in a really close one. I think that's going to be a good game to watch.
Yep.
And then last 8 o'clock game, number 8 SMU versus number 17 Clemson. Like I said earlier, I got SMU to head to the playoffs. A great year for them.
And obviously I said that earlier too, and I agree with you, Jake.
Yep.
So that's the weekend packed for conference championships, and then next week we're going to be talking about who won. So stay tuned. Coming up next is Andrews talking about soccer.
Hello, I am Andrew Mirzaaghasi, and I will be talking about soccer once again. And as you could tell, I'm not wearing the Man City jersey today, and for that reason, I will tell you why. Because for the 6th time in a row, Man City have failed to get a win in any of their games. It includes Premier League or Champions League, in which in the Premier League, they lost to Liverpool, typical, 2-0, all because of one man, and that one man is Mohamed Salah, as they really can't bypass him. He's too good, I'll say that. Liverpool have him. He's a good penalty taker. He's very good on giving assists. He's the man. He's the reason why we lost, and I kind of predicted it, because after seeing what Man City has done throughout these entire games, basically, I'm thinking ever since Rodri won the Ballon d'Or, it's just been cursed from there, because Man City cannot even win. And even if they do somehow begin to win, they don't. And I want to talk about specifically this moment in the Champions League is the reason why I'm not wearing the shirt today. They went from 3-0. They blew a 3-0 lead against Feyenoord. 3-3 tie. And it's like, you guys were doing so good. Haaland scored twice. And another person, which I forgot sadly, also scored. And you somehow blew that lead in the very last minutes of the game, in which the coach, Pep Guardiola, has now finally reached 6 losses in a row in his career, in which I feel like his job being coach at Man City might be in jeopardy because of it. But we would have to see later. And I feel like it's opposite day because let's talk about Man United as they won against Everton 4-0. Yes, you heard me right. 4-0 win with Man United. That's like the type of numbers that Man City should have done. However, this is Man United. And I guess Man United fans could cheer as well because 4-0, they're able to go on top of the leaderboard in the Premier League. It's I don't know, man. But I could see that Ruben Amorim has set the stage for Man United in their recent victories or tie to replace Eric Ten Hag for being an awful coach. But Ruben has been seeming to do a good job with Man United, so we will see if they're able to pull off any other Man City levels of winning. So moving from the La Liga, we will talk about the two giants, Barcelona and Real Madrid. As Barcelona did lose to Las Palmas 2-1, with Rafinha only scoring for Barcelona, causing their lead in the La Liga to be shortened. Meanwhile, Real Madrid were able to win against Getafe 2-0. The La Liga's top 5 is very close right now, and Barcelona and Real Madrid are now exactly 1 point from either being first and second. Barcelona holding on by 1 point. So now we go to the standings of the Premier League. In first, we have Liverpool with 34 points, Arsenal with 25 points, Chelsea with 25 points, Brighton with 23 points, and Man City with 23 points. This is a major shakeup as now Liverpool, not shockingly, is still first. Arsenal is now second. Chelsea is now third. I can hear Marco in the background cheering probably. In fourth is Brighton, of course, we'll see there. And then there's Man City, who has sadly fallen from now second to fifth. So honestly, I have no clue what Man City is going to do at this point. They're going to verse Nottingham Forest, their next Premier League match, in which I am not bringing any hope that Man City would win. I'm predicting this game would just be 1-0 because honestly, I have no clue what this team is going to do. But thanks for watching. Don't go anywhere as Rocco and Matt are going to talk about the NBA.
Hello and welcome back to the NBA segment on the highlight reel. Rocco, we're just covering a couple games today. Let's start off with Saturday. We got the Bucks and the Wizards. Bucks defeating the Wizards by 10 points. 124 to 114. Thoughts?
I mean, look, you look at where both teams are at. The Wizards, obviously, they're trying to surprise people. That hasn't gone according to plan. But you see the Bucks, they're poorly coached with Doc Rivers. I think most people understand that Doc Rivers isn't the greatest coach. But you still have Giannis Antetokounmpo. You still have Damian Lillard. As long as you have these pieces, you can still compete. And there's no reason for the Bucks not to try competing because when you have all of these guys, there's some chemistry there. I don't think the coach is there, so we'll have to see where the Bucks go from here.
Also on Saturday, we had the Warriors against the Suns. Suns defeating the Warriors this time, 113 to 105. Thoughts?
I mean, when I was watching college football that night, I had to peek at this score, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I think right now the Golden State Warriors are the best team in the Western Conference by a huge margin. I think they definitely have the best chance to win the NBA Cup from my eyes. So we'll just have to see. Can they keep building this going forward? Steph Curry just aged back 5 years. He's still great. And it's just awesome to see how he's still playing at such a high level. You'd think he'd be washed by now. Greatest shooter ever. Is he ever going to fall off? Maybe. Or I don't know. If I'm the Suns, I need to build off of this because I have a great roster and I want to win. The Western Conference is competitive. The Wolves have fallen out of the picture for a little bit, but they'll be back. You know, the Nuggets are still there, the Thunder, and the Mavericks, obviously, because they have Luka and Kyrie. So, look, good on the Suns. Let's see if they keep it up.
Moving on, Sunday, we got the Celtics against the Cavs. Cavs taking this one, 115 to 111. Any thoughts?
I mean, Cavaliers winning streak, the Celtics are one of the few teams that gave them trouble, and this time the Cavs got them back. So good to see them still winning. I think they'll definitely end up with a top seed. It's still early in the season. We're only about a quarter way through it. But I'm all for it. I love what the Cavs are doing, and I think they have a great future.
Finally, we got your Knicks against the Pelicans. The Knicks taking a huge win on this one, 118 to 85. What were your thoughts on this one?
Orange and blue skies, Matt. Orange and blue skies. That's what it is. The New York Knicks. Finally. You feel the chemistry. It's just starting to mesh, and they're just starting to come as one cohesive unit. And that's scary for the Eastern Conference. And you don't want to face the Knicks in the playoffs or in the NBA Cup. Tonight against the Magic, I expect greatness out of this team again. I love this entire team. I can't wait to watch them.
Well, that's it for the NBA this week, at least for our show. But don't go anywhere because next is Myles and Luke on some more NBA.
Welcome to another week of the Highlight Reel. Today we'll be talking about the NBA. So to start, my disappointing player has been Luka Doncic. I know he's had a good season number-wise, but he always comes into the season out of shape. I don't know what he does every summer in Slovenia to gain like 20 pounds every summer, but he always does, and he's always injured to start the season. Fortunately for them this season, the Mavericks have been able to keep afloat at 14-8, but I'm just annoyed with him because he has all-world talent, and he just chooses to come in out of shape every season.
Yeah, and he's still one of the best players in the league. So I
It
don't know how
doesn't
you can argue
matter.
This. He led his team to the championship last year.
Finals. He led his team to the finals, and he was burnt out by June because he's coming
By
in.
June, that's like 8 months.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's tough for anyone.
But especially him because he's coming in out of shape every summer. It's unbelievable. He's like Zion.
You can't compare them. Luka's an MVP level player. Zion
could be an
Zion could
MVP.
be, but Zion plays 10 games a year.
But Luka plays like 45.
Okay, whatever. I'm going to change this to a surprising player who's playing well, and I'm going to go with Anthony Davis. I think he doesn't get the respect he deserves because LeBron's on his team, but he's averaging 28 and 11 and one of the best defenders in the NBA. Even when LeBron's not playing right now, Davis like makes up for it, and that's why they're still able to win games.
Yeah.
JJ Redick seems to be a little better with him than they were before. Like, he seems to know how to use all these guys in better spots. The one I think JJ Redick's really helped is Dalton Connect because they really are similar to like just shooters, spot-up shooters.
Yeah, Connect 4, he's been doing really well.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on the Anthony Davis pick, but more so this is about LeBron and how terrible he's been that Anthony Davis needs to pick him up every chance he gets. I mean, the man's 40.
Yeah, he's 40 and he gets a triple-double like every other night. How terrible
He
could
gets
he be?
like 10, 10, and 10. He's not that good, and the Lakers aren't winning. JJ Redick's better than Darvin Ham. Anybody could be better than Darvin Ham. I could be better than Darvin Ham. But going into my most improved player early in the season is Dyson Daniels. He was traded in the DeJounte Murray trade coming over from New Orleans. He wasn't getting much playing time in New Orleans, but he has been phenomenal for Atlanta. He's been getting like 3 steals a game. His wingspan's incredible. He just deflects everything. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. And his scoring's taken a jump from 5.8 to 13.5. It's not tremendous. He's not going to lead a team. But if they can flip him at the deadline for a lot of picks, I think Atlanta would be really, really happy with.
Yeah, I feel like Dyson Daniels is what they almost expected Murray to be when they traded a lot to get him. Like a perimeter defender who could score some points.
Yeah, he's been very good. So, Luke, I'd ask you this. I know we just had the qualifying round for the NBA Cup, so who's your prediction?
Well, I really don't want to say this because I feel like every time I say something good about them, they prove me wrong. But I'm going to go with the Knicks again because I can't not pick the Knicks. Because I just have to hope that they keep doing what they're doing. They've won their last 2 games by like 30 points. Last game ended up not being as much as it should have been because we hadn't played our starters. Starters haven't played the last like 5 minutes of the last 2 fourth quarters. Brunson, Hart, and Obi, Cat, they're all playing really well. And even Bridges is playing better now. So if Bridges, all of them are playing well, like Bridges and Obi are both hitting threes, I don't see any way they like lose. Like even the rest of this year. If all of those guys are hitting shots that they should hit, I think they're one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, they're going to come out of the East for the Cup. I mean, it's the Bucks in there are like your main
Have to be
competition.
the Hawks in the Garden.
With
You
Trae
have
Young.
to do it. You have to do it.
You have to do it. You have to get over Trae Young. But I agree with the Knicks. I think they're going to come out of the East in the Cup. They have something to prove, obviously, trading for Cat, trading for Bridges, and they're really hungry right now, and I think that's also what happened to the Lakers last year. They just came in, and they were more hungry than everybody else to get the cup.
Yeah, the Knicks really. I mean, I know Josh Hart says he doesn't care about the money at all, or doesn't care about anyone else's money, but you just want to win. It's just more. It's bigger than a regular game. Even like if it's not for the money, it's for the. You just want to win these big games. It's something that you could look back on.
It's for pride.
Yeah.
So my prediction to win the cup is the Houston Rockets. Again, another hungry team. Alperen Şengün's been playing like baby Jokic. He's been incredible this season. Jalen Green, he's been chucking up shots. He's been making some. But they have a really deep team led by Ime Udoka, former Celtics coach. Reed Shepherd, good rookie. They have Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks. They are 2 really good defensive guys. And they're just like the Knicks. They're hungry and they want the cup.
Yeah, the difference is that they're mostly young guys, and they got Brooks and Van Vliet, who are the only real vets, and everyone else on their team is like 22, 23. They're all young, they're athletic, they're all talented. It's just, do they have enough experience to get by more experienced teams?
You know, I think we'll learn a lot about them like we did the Pacers last year going into the cup, because they're a young team also just like the Pacers, but we haven't really seen them get tested yet, and I think that's what we'll see this week with the cup.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's all we have for you this week. We'll see you next week on the Highlight Reel.